darshan of dead bodies. He transformed that same place into somewhere where people could have darshan of Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan. Such a transformation. Another place that Prabhupada started the temple was a laundromat, where people used to wash their clothes in machines and go vroom, 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 like that. And they took out all the washing machines and they put an altar and made it a beautiful temple. This was nice. Because the body is like a set of clothes. And it went from a place that cleaned clothes to a temple that cleaned the heart, that cleaned the soul. Because when the heart is clean, then we can see our blissful nature. We can relish our love for Krishna and share that with the world. Haunted with ghosts. The devotees made it into a temple of Radha Krishna. In a place that had so many ghosts harassing people in it. People didn't want to live there because of the ghosts. Now it was a place of Krishna, and the holy name was chasing away the ghosts of illusion, whoever came. So when we understand Srila Prabhupada's greatness, he had nothing to work with when he came to the West. Just whatever Krishna sent, he would Krishnaize it. He had no demands. Some of us, I'll do this if I get this. I'll be able to accomplish this if I have these facilities. Yes, we hear this sometimes. Give me this, this, and this, and I'll do that. But otherwise it's impossible. Srila Prabhupada said impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary, and it didn't make sense to any of us until we watched Srila Prabhupada's life. And therefore we believed what he said. Because an acharya shows by example. Srila Prabhupada was living in a Bowery, on a flat, a loft, on the top floor. He was 71 years old. And he had to walk up 5 flights of stairs. Every time he went up to his room and down. And the stairway was practically pitch dark because it was a ghetto area. And they didn't have enough electricity, the landlord, to light up the hallways. And there was no doorbell. His Holiness Mukunda Goswami Maharaj tells when he wanted to go in to meet Prabhupada, he would take a penny. Penny is like a paisa in India. It's the smallest currency. Or sometimes he would take, if he didn't have a penny, he would take a little piece of a stone. And he would have to throw it all the way up to the 5th floor to hit Srila Prabhupada's window. Because otherwise, there was no telephone. There was no doorbell. And the door's locked. Because there's so many people living in bottom floors, they don't let people just walk in. So he would be all the way on the street in the Bowery, throwing these pennies and stones up at the window, and somehow hitting the window, and then Prabhupada would come to the window and stick his head out, look way down, and he'd see Mukunda Goswami there, his name was Michael then, and he would say, I'll be right down. There wasn't these, and the door opens. Prabhupada had to come all the way down from a tiny little storefront they gave him. 26th Avenue. It was Matchless Gifts. It was a gift shop. Srila Prabhupada, he actually transformed it into a holy place where the matchless gift of pure bhakti was being given freely to everyone. And in Montreal, one of the first temples, the devotees somehow or other got an abandoned bowling alley. Do you have bowling alleys in India? How many people know what a bowling alley is? Anyways, it's the least most likely place for a temple. It's a place with all these lanes and these gutters between the lanes, and you throw this big heavy ball and it knocks over these pins and these pieces of wood, and people bet like that. It's kind of a really unusual type of sport. And it was only one room. And devotees, they weren't allowed to renovate it because they were just renting it. So they just took ropes and tied them from one wall to the other and put sheets to make rooms. And there was a sheet hanging down, and the brahmacharis were on one side of the street to see sheet, and there was another sheet, and the brahmacharis were on the other side of the sheet, and then there was another sheet hanging from rope, and the grihastas had their little apartments between those sheets. And then another sheet, and there was a kitchen, and another sheet, there was a temple. Medieval. Prabhupada went there. And so many, some of the most prominent devotees in the world, even today, historical devotees, became Krishna conscious in that bowling alley temple. So Srila Prabhupada, whatever Krishna sent, he was grateful and used it. It was his enthusiasm to be an instrument of Krishna and his Gurudev's compassion under all circumstances. New York, Chicago, Detroit. They all began with just very, very small little rented places, sometimes storefronts, sometimes laundromats, sometimes funeral homes. That became popular because somehow or other funeral homes were designed in a way that made good temples. An altar where the dead body would be as displayed, so devotees were looking for funeral homes to convert them into temples. Of course, before they brought the deities in, they would wash everything with cow dung. But that wasn't easy, getting cow dung in those days. They had to drive out to some farm and ask the farmer, "Give me dung." And they said, "What do you want dung for?" In America, no farmer has ever been asked, "Give me dung." Their problem is what to do with it. They don't see any value to it. They don't make fuel with it. They don't rub it on their walls or on their floors. It has no value. And devotees are going, asking for dung. What are you going to use the dung for? To purify our temple. Take as much as you want. Cows are giving it for free. Have or don't have, it doesn't matter. All that's required is our devotion, and our enthusiasm to please our spiritual masters of Krishna. If we have that, everything or anything will work. If we don't have that, then whatever material facilities, it won't really work in the true sense. Because working means transformation. And that transformation takes place when we connect to the grace of Guru and Krishna. Not when we connect to a building or to a place, unless it's a very holy place. But even a holy place Srimad Bhagavatam tells us it is a symptom of Kali to go to a holy place without associating with the holy people, because they bring to life the true essence of that place. They help us to access the grace of that place. And Srila Prabhupada, he was making the most unholy places holy places. New York City, San Francisco, Montreal, Chicago, Detroit, London. The devotees in London, when they first went, they were so inspired by Prabhupada's example. Malati Devi, Shamsundar Prabhu, and their little baby child, Saraswati. For some time, they were living. They showed me the place in a little alleyway. And on the basement of this place, freezing cold in the winter, sometimes snowing and icing, their bedroom was a cardboard box. A box for a refrigerator, without the refrigerator. But the box in the winter was colder than a refrigerator. And Malati raised her child there in the basement. There was nothing there, it was just a warehouse thing. And sometimes they'd wake up and there'd be snow all over them. They'd come in through the cracks. But they were not discouraged, because the way Prabhupada spread Krishna consciousness was much more difficult than this. So they were happy, they were enthusiastic. And because of that enthusiasm, they gradually got a center, a buried place. It was just a pre-existing, very old building. And they made it into a wonderful temple. And hundreds of people joined the Krishna consciousness movement there. And recently I went there. They sold it many years ago. They didn't actually own it, they were just renting it. But many years ago they left it. And now it is an office for dentists. And I was there with Guru Das Prabhu and some other devotees. We were walking around, we were talking to the dentists, and I said, this place used to be transcendental. Now what's left is only dental. When I came down here today, this is an incredible lecture hall. It's just absolutely wonderful. One of the nicest I've seen anywhere. And I asked Vedanta Chaitanya Prabhu, how long have you had this? He said, just about 3 years ago. He said, it used to be a go-down. I said, it used to be a go-down. Now you've made it into a place that helps all the devotees to go up. This was Prabhupada's mystical power, and this is how he inspired and empowered his devotees to transform ordinary material things into Vaikuntha. Srila Prabhupada demonstrated the farthest reach of the extreme of Rupa Goswami's teaching of Yukta Vairagya. That anything that is material can be transformed into spiritual energy by utilizing it with pure devotion.
And it's quite appropriate. You have come today and the verse is speaking about true follower of Narayana. It's very, very wonderful. orchestration of Krishna. I have a question about the cooperation that you were mentioning about. Sometimes there are some fundamental differences amongst devotees about what understanding and misunderstanding about what Prabhupada wanted is here.
Addressing a complicated question. I would like to very simply say that I feel very swagatomed by you. Bhakti-Vinod Thakur writes in one beautiful essay that party spirit is the enemy of true religion. He explains what that means. My guru is better than yours, my religion is better than yours. Not appreciating and seeing the essence within each other. It's an enemy. It's party spirit. And Srila Bhakti-Vinod Thakur also explains among the demons who came to Vrindavan, each one represents a particular anartha that is an impediment to Braj Bhakti. And that forest fire that erupted around the Brajavasis as they were sleeping on the bank of the Yamuna after Krishna delivered Kaliya. He said that forest fire represents communal disharmony within the Vaishnava community. It's very important. There will be differences. Bhima said, kill Ashwatthama. Draupadi said, let him go. I feel for his mother. She shouldn't suffer like me. And Krishna kind of resolved it somewhere in the middle. Kill him, but don't kill him. And Arjuna knew what to do, to embarrass him, which is worse than death. But mothers don't mind when you're embarrassed, as long as they can still see you and feed you. So there are, sometimes fundamental philosophical questions, sometimes there's social interpretations of what Prabhupada really wanted and how to apply things. And the thing about Srila Prabhupada was he was such a broad-dimensional personality that he did so many things in different ways at different times. And he said many things in different contexts. And if we have a particular ego about something, we just choose those quotations. And we don't consider all the other quotations. But somebody else is taking the other quotations and not seeing your quotation. Right? Srila Prabhupada, according to time, place, and circumstance, was very, very expert at doing what worked. But he did things different ways at different times. He never changed the Siddhanta, or the application of the Siddhanta. It's important that we try to understand the whole picture. Now, one thing that I found in my life is a beautiful quote by Lord Chaitanya. He said, you will not understand how to love Krishna or attain the perfection of life, even if you study all the scriptures and read all the books in the world.